Opening scene, a cold night in space. Far away from Earth, a massive alien ship floated in the dark silence of space. The ship belonged to a species called the Zarnax, advanced, cold, emotionless beings. They were explorers and conquerors. For thousands of years, they had visited planets, studied life forms, and controlled them by entering their minds. To them, most species were like insects, weak, predictable, easy to manipulate. Earth was just another planet. Today, they had chosen to study humans. Not all of them. Just one. Inside the alien ship, Zarnax Commander Virel stood in the observation room. His skin was pale and smooth like silver. His eyes were black, without any emotion. He spoke in a calm voice. "Begin the probe." A smaller alien, the mental specialist, nodded. Subject selected. Coordinates locked. Initiating mental link in 3, 2, 1. A soft pulse of blue light shot from the ship toward Earth. Scene: Earth, a small apartment in Chicago. Ethan Shaw, 28 years old, sat on his couch. The TV was on, showing an old war documentary. Tanks rolled across battlefields. Explosions, screams. He wasn't really watching. His eyes were tired, his face quiet, almost emotionless. The clock ticked past midnight. Outside, it rained. Slow, cold rain that touched the window gently. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, and that was the moment the alien entered his mind. Inside Ethan's mind, first contact. At first, it was peaceful. The alien floated inside Ethan's thoughts like a ghost. Calm waves of random memories: childhood, walking the dog, eating ice cream, school days. Nothing special. The alien whispered into its communicator. Mind appears normal. Weak defenses. Human is unaware. Proceeding to deep scan. The alien moved deeper into Ethan's memory center. But something changed. Suddenly, everything went dark. Darkness. No more peaceful memories. No light. Just darkness. Thick, heavy, endless. The alien paused. Confused. This is not a normal structure. It said to itself. A loud click echoed somewhere in the dark. Then another click. Click. The alien turned, but it had no body here, only its mind. Still, it could feel movement. Something was watching it. Subject's mind has a protective shell. Unexpected, it reported. Attempting to break through. Then, a voice echoed from the dark. Why are you here? The alien froze. No human should be aware of this connection. But the voice continued. Louder now. You shouldn't be here. The alien tried to retreat, but COULDN single quotes do. Panic. Something pulled it deeper. Scene: a twisted memory. Suddenly, the alien was standing, yes, standing, in a twisted version of a school playground. Everything looked like it was drawn by a child, but wrong. The sky was red. The swings were made of chains. The ground was moving like it was breathing. Children laughed, but it wasn't joy. It was madness. A boy sat alone on the bench, quiet, face covered in bruises. It was Ethan. A younger version. 5 other boys approached and started pushing him, calling him names, bullying. The alien watched. Tried to scan the memory, but something felt off. The bullies laughed louder. Then one of them hit Ethan hard. Suddenly, everything stopped. All 5 bullies froze in mid-motion. Ethan looked up. His eyes were glowing. He whispered, "My turn." The horror begins. The scene changed again. Now the bullies were the ones crying, screaming, being chased by something unseen. The sky turned black. Thunder roared. A shadow, tall, inhuman, full of teeth, emerged from behind Ethan. It hunted them, one by one. The alien screamed. It tried to pull out of the mind connection, tried to end the mission. Disconnect. Disconnect. It shouted to its ship, but no response came, only Ethan's voice. "You came into my head. Don't cry now." Scene: Back on the alien ship, the mental specialist opened his eyes. Blood leaked from his nose. His hands trembled. Commander Virel looked at him confused. Status? I can't. It won't come out. The probe is trapped. What? That's impossible. No, the human's mind, it's a maze, a trap. He's not random. He was waiting for us. Back in the mind, the maze, the alien floated in endless hallways now. Each door led to a memory, but they were twisted. The alien opened one dot. It saw Ethan in a military uniform. But official records showed Ethan never served. Another door. Ethan fighting in a ring. Bare fists, blood, roar of a crowd. Again. No such memory existed in real life. Then, a mirror appeared in front of the alien dot. It looked inside and screamed, because its reflection had Ethan's face. The interrogation. Ethan appeared again. This time as an adult, sitting on a chair in a dark room. A single light bulb above. Sit, he said. The alien felt itself pulled into the chair. Ethan leaned forward. You think I'm simple? Average? A test subject? No response. You've done this before. Many times, right? Entered weak minds, scared animals. Learned their secrets. The alien struggled. You are not what we expected. Ethan smiled. That's what makes us human. Something bigger. Ethan stood and began walking in a circle. Tell me, how many species have you controlled? The alien stayed silent. How many planets have you broken? Still silent. Let me show you something, Ethan said. He touched the alien's forehead. And suddenly, the alien saw images of humans. Not just Ethan. Soldiers, doctors, scientists, children, rebels. It saw human history. War, peace, rebellion, invention, destruction, love, hatred. Too much emotion. Too fast. Too chaotic. The alien screamed. Final scene. Back in the real world, the connection finally broke. The alien's body collapsed inside the ship. Its skin turned pale. It shook violently. Commander Virel shouted, "Pull him back! Reboot the probe!" But the mental specialist was gone. Mind burned out. He whispered 2 final words before dying. Don't go back. The room fell. Silent, Commander Virel turned to the main screen, showing Earth. His eyes, usually cold, now blinked slowly. What are humans? He whispered. Meanwhile, Ethan opened his eyes slowly in his apartment. The rain was still falling outside. He stood up and walked to the window, looked at the sky. Smiled. And whispered, "Send another one." Opening scene. The alien is trapped. Darkness. Silence. The alien floated in a black space that had no walls. No floor, no sky. Just emptiness. Or so it thought. It tried again to send a signal back to the Zarnak ship. No response. It's psychic. Link was cut. The alien, a being that had entered hundreds of minds before, now felt something new. Fear. This mind is not natural, it whispered. Inside Ethan's mind, twisting reality. The blackness suddenly changed. Walls appeared. Tall, gray, and endless. The alien now stood in a corridor. Cold wind blew from somewhere, but there were no windows, no doors. Footsteps echoed, but the alien had no feet. Still. It heard walking and breathing. Its own? No, someone else. The walls began to twist slowly, like they were alive. Ethan's voice echoed around the corridor. You think this is a mind? This is a maze. Back on the Zarnak ship, confusion, Commander Virel paced the floor, his long fingers clasped behind his back. We need connection. Now, he barked. The tech team worked silently. The probe specialist's body still lay cold, but brain activity flickered. It wasn't dead. Not fully. We have partial link, said a young assistant. But strange signals. Emotion spikes. Conflicting patterns. What kind? The assistant gulped. Panic, pain, and shame. Inside the maze hall of faces, the alien floated through the corridor, now trying to stay calm. But every few steps, the walls changed. They were now covered in photographs, thousands of them, faces, human faces. All looking at it, all silent. Some were smiling, some were crying, some were screaming. The alien reached out mentally to touch one photo. Instantly, it was dragged into the memory. Flashback, Ethan in the simulation room, a steel room. White walls. A countdown timer blinking on a wall. Ethan stood with a team of strangers, all holding rifles. A robotic voice counted down. Mission start in 3, 2, 1. The door opened. Fire, smoke, chaos outside. It was a war simulation. But the fear was real. The pain was real. The screaming was real. The alien felt every bullet that hit, every scream that left Ethan's throat, every moment of doubt, and every second of survival. Then, the scene froze. Ethan turned to look directly at the alien. You thought you were watching me, but I brought you here. Back to the maze. The alien was pulled back into the corridor. It stumbled, or thought it did. It couldn't tell anymore what was real inside this mind. The walls now had eyes. Blinking, watching. The alien had seen strong minds before. Warriors, kings, monsters. But this was something else. A human who had nothing, and yet could build a fortress in his mind. A trap. The second voice. Suddenly, another voice spoke. Not Ethan's. It was deeper, rough, broken. Run. The alien turned. A large shadow stood. In the hallway. Was Ethan. But not him. Bigger, older, covered in scars. One arm missing. Half his face burned. I'm the part he hides, it said. The one he buried. You're not ready for me. The alien tried to flee, but the hallways stretched, twisted, looped back on themselves. No escape. Where are the exits? The alien cried. The scarred Ethan smiled. There are none. Back on the ship. New decision. Varel watched the data stream. The longer the probe stayed in Ethan's mind, the stranger the signals became. What if this human is not alone? A scientist asked. What if others like him exist? Varel narrowed his eyes. Then we're already at war. Inside the maze, the mirror room, the alien entered a new chamber. Mirrors. Hundreds of them. All reflecting Ethan. Different versions of him. Old, young, happy, angry, broken, violent. Then the mirrors began showing the alien's own memories. Its first mission. Its first control. Its first mind collapse. But the human mind was rewriting them. In every memory, the alien was now losing. Ethan's voice returned. You control others, but you don't even know yourself. Sudden shift. The child returns. The small Ethan, the boy from the playground, appeared again. This time, he wasn't bruised. He wasn't crying. He was drawing, with a red crayon, on the walls. The alien floated closer. What are you drawing? The child smiled. A map. The alien looked. It wasn't a map. It was a skull. A human skull. The boy said softly, This is where you die. The beast. Suddenly, the walls shook. From the far end of the hallway, a loud roar echoed. The alien turned and saw something coming fast. A creature. Tall as a building, made of bones, wires, rage. Its face was a blank mask, but it had Ethan's voice, shouting one word. Run. The alien fled. Room after room, door after door. The beast chased it, tearing through walls, smashing the maze apart. But no matter where the alien ran, it stayed trapped inside Ethan's mind, cornered. The alien reached a dead end. A stone wall blocked its path. It turned. The beast stopped. Then it slowly morphed into Ethan full size. Eyes glowing red. You want to see everything? He asked. No, the alien begged. Let me go. Ethan tilted his head. You don't get to come in and leave, not without giving me something. What do you want? Everything. One final memory. Ethan touched the alien's head. The alien felt a pull, not just from Ethan's memories, but its own. Ethan was stealing them. Plans, coordinates, alien weaknesses. Zarnak's fears. The alien screamed, "You can't do this." Ethan replied coldly, "You tried to study us. Now I'll study you." Back on the ship, collapse. The mental probe let out a final scream and collapsed. Dead. Brain fried. Data core corrupted. The lab lights dimmed. Silence followed. Commander Virel stared at the lifeless body. He whispered, "What have we awakened?" Meanwhile, Ethan. He sat at his desk, writing something in a notebook. No emotion, just calm. He closed the book, stood up, and walked to the window again. Rain had stopped. Clouds cleared. Stars were visible. He smiled and said, "They'll come again. And I'll be ready." Opening scene, a quiet morning on Earth. Sunlight touched the window of Ethan's small apartment. He stood still, holding a cup of coffee. The sky was calm now, no rain, no storm. The streets below were quiet, but Ethan wasn't at peace, because something had changed. He had felt it. When the alien left his mind, it didn't take everything. It gave something too. A piece of its knowledge now lived inside him, and it was growing. Inside Ethan's mind, a flicker of the past. In a dark corner of Ethan's mind, a small door began to glow. It was old, wooden, cracked. For years, Ethan had kept it closed. It held his first memory, the one he never wanted to remember. Now, that door shook. Because something inside wanted out. Meanwhile, Zarnak's ship in orbit. Commander Virel stared at the frozen body of the mental specialist. 3 more aliens had attempted contact with Earth minds. 3 more were dead. 1 simply vanished. No trace, no return. "We are not dealing with normal humans," a scientist said. "This Ethan, he is an anomaly." "No," Virel replied. "He's a warning." The room fell silent. Ethan begins to change. Ethan sat at his desk. His eyes stared at a blank page. Suddenly, his hand moved by itself. He began to draw a shape, a room. Door. The same door from his mind. The one he always ignored. He put the pen down, closed his eyes, and let the door open. Flashback begins. Age 6. The air was thick. Dust hung in the sunlight. A small house. Poor. Quiet. Too quiet. Young Ethan sat in a corner, holding a broken toy soldier. His face was pale, eyes wide. No emotion. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Heavy, slow. The front door creaked open. His father had returned. The monster at home. Ethan's father, tall, strong, drunk. Again, he threw his coat on the ground. Slammed the door shut. His mother stayed silent in the kitchen. Her hands shook as she washed dishes. Ethan didn't move. The man walked over to him. "You break it?" he asked, pointing at the toy. Ethan nodded once. A hard slap sent the toy flying. "Stupid boy." His mother cried quietly. Didn't fight. Didn't speak. Memory gets distorted. But something strange happened inside the memory. The scene didn't end. The father kept hitting. Over and over. Too much. Time was looping. Same slap. Same fall. Again and again. Ethan, now an adult inside the memory, stepped forward. He watched the scene. Watched his younger self get hurt. He clenched his fists. "End it," he whispered. Suddenly, everything froze. The first break. The walls of the memory cracked. His father turned, not at the child, but at adult Ethan. His eyes were empty now, black, like the Zarnak's. "Who are you?" the memory dad asked. "I'm the part of him you couldn't kill," Ethan said coldly. He raised a hand, and the memory shattered. Glass shards flew. Screams echoed. The house collapsed into dust. Only Ethan remained, and the child version of himself, silent, scared. stared at each other. Truth revealed, the birth of the maze. This was the moment it all began, the first time Ethan's mind created. Walls. Not to escape the world. But to protect the child inside. From pain. From fear. From the past. Every time he was hurt, another wall was built. Another hallway. Another locked door. And over the years, that became the maze. Back to present, inside the maze again. Now Ethan walked deeper into the halls of his mind. But this time, he wasn't lost. He was in control. Doors opened for him. Memories whispered to him. But something was new. A hallway he'd never seen before. Long, silent, with metal walls. It didn't belong to him. It was alien. Alien data leak. When the Zarnax probe died inside his mind, it left something behind, a trail, a seed. Now, that seed had grown into a hallway of Zarnax. Memories. Ethan entered. He saw stars, ships, wars, slaves, screaming minds. He saw how Zarnax conquered planets, not with weapons, but by entering thoughts, breaking wills, stealing control. But then he saw something else. A map. Coordinates. Earth wasn't the first human world. Twist revealed they've met humans before. Ethan saw files marked with the Zarnax symbol. One word repeated. Project Ashen. Images flashed. A planet like Earth. Cities turned to dust. People running. Burning. A boy standing alone in fire. And in the distance, a figure that looked like Ethan, but it wasn't him. A warning from the past. Suddenly, the hallway began to shake. A voice, not Ethan's, not the Zarnax, echoed. They destroyed US before. Don't let them finish the job. Ethan turned. In front of him stood another version of himself. Older, tired, skin cracked like stone. I'm what you'll become if you don't fight. The echo said, the Zarnax never give up. You must go beyond memory now. You must learn to use their fear. Back on the ship, panic builds. On the Zarnax bridge, red lights flashed. Sir, a voice called. We've detected a reverse signal from Earth. Impossible, Virel said. We severed the link. Not anymore, the voice said. The human is reaching into us. They all turned to the main screen. A symbol appeared, drawn by hand. Ethan's symbol. The maze. Ethan returns from the memory. He opened his eyes in his apartment, sweat on his forehead. Hands trembling. But his mind was clearer than ever. He knew now. This wasn't just about defense. It was war. He picked up the notebook and began to write. Ashen wasn't the end. I won't be the last. But I will be the first to fight back. Final scene. Voiceover style. Fade to black. Ethan's voice speaks slowly. When they entered my mind, they thought they'd find weakness, but they woke up something worse. Something even I had buried. My first memory wasn't pain. It was silence. And inside silence, I built a weapon. Opening scene. The dream that wasn't a dream. Ethan opened his eyes, but he wasn't in his apartment. He stood on a hill. The ground under him was dark, not brown, not black, ash. The sky above was red. The air smelled like smoke. There were no birds. No wind. No sound. Just silence. And the remains of a city, burned to the ground. He whispered, Ashen. Flashback begins. Project Ashen. Thousands of years ago, before Earth even knew aliens existed, there was another planet. A planet very much like Earth. Blue skies, water, forests, cities, people who looked human. Happy. Until the Zarnax came. They didn't land with ships. They didn't drop bombs. They entered mines. One by one, they took control of the leaders, the teachers, the soldiers. And then they turned those people against each other. In 6 days, Ashen fell. Scene. Ethan walks through the ruins. Ethan stepped through the ruins of the Ashen city. Burned cars, cracked roads, skeletons covered in dust. But something strange happened. As he walked, memories came to him, not his own. A woman screaming for her son. A boy running through smoke. A soldier turning. His gun on his team. A child hiding under a metal table, crying. Alone. That child looked like him. Ethan's heart pounded. This can't be. Zarnak's memory upload inside the lab on the Zarnak's command ship. Commander Varel stood inside the archive chamber. A huge orb glowed blue in the center. It contained all data from Project Ashen. Why didn't we erase this? He asked. The AI responded. Because one subject survived. Impossible. Ashen was cleansed. The orb showed a single image. A boy, about 6 years old, standing in the ruins, staring straight at the drone camera. Eyes cold, emotionless, untouched. That boy's face matched Ethan's, back on Earth. Ethan in the vision. Ethan heard footsteps. Behind him, he turned. The boy was there. Pale skin, dust on his face. Same jawline. Same eyes, but this boy wasn't afraid. He looked at Ethan and said, "You are me." Ethan shook his head. "I'm from Earth." The boy pointed at the sky. "So was I." The truth revealed Ashen's last mind. Ethan suddenly felt a rush of information. Images, pain, screams, numbers, stars, all flooding into his brain. He dropped to his knees, holding his head. This child, the last survivor of Ashen, had hidden inside the Zarnak's data banks for centuries. He didn't escape physically. He escaped mentally, uploaded his mind into the Zarnak's system. Waiting, watching, and when the Zarnak's touched Ethan's mind, it woke him. Now, that ancient mind was merging with Ethan. New voice in Ethan's head. Back in his apartment, Ethan gasped and sat up. His eyes glowed faintly red. Inside his head, a voice spoke. Familiar, calm, cold. You felt anger, but you haven't felt control. Ethan looked in the mirror. He saw not just himself, but Ashen's survivors staring back. A fusion had begun. Meanwhile, Zarnak's began to panic on the command ship. Alarms rang. "Earthmind has breached our firewalls," a soldier yelled. "What? How is that possible?" "It's using our own memory stream from Project Ashen." Commander Varel slammed his fist on the table. "He's merged with the boy. The one we missed. They are one now." The crew stared at the screen. A diagram of a hybrid mind, part Earth, part Ashen, part something else. Something dangerous. Back in the mind, Ethan talks to the boy, inside the shared mind space. Ethan sat across from the child. He finally spoke. "What do you want?" The boy replied, "Justice. Not for me, for all." "They'll come again," Ethan said. "They already have." The boy pointed to a dark corner of the maze. Ethan stood and walked. There, what he saw made his blood freeze. The next target. Projected. On the wall was a list of planets. One had a red circle, Earth. Underneath, the Zarnak's text translated to, "Final harvest begins in 13 Earth days." That meant invasion. Full scale. No more experiments. No more probes. Just destruction. Like Ashen, the fusion deepens. New abilities awaken. Ethan's body started changing, not physically, but mentally. He could now see patterns in electricity. He could hear emotions like sound waves. He felt thoughts like touch. His mind expanded, faster than human limits, but with power. Came visions, visions of war, death, flames. And a choice. Let Earth fall. Or stand as its last line. Back on Earth, Ethan makes a move. Ethan packed a small bag. Laptop. Old notebook. Flash drive. A metal object with the Ashen symbol. He walked outside. For the first time in years, he smiled, because he was no longer alone in this fight. He had a weapon the Zarnak's never expected, a mind they couldn't break, and a memory they forgot. Final. Scene, voiceover style, black screen. Ethan's voice. "They think memory is weakness, but memory is survival. Ashen never died. It became me." Opening scene. The quiet before the storm. It was 3 a.m. Ethan stood on the roof of his apartment building. The city below was asleep. No cars, no noise. Only the wind. In his hands was a small device, made from broken phones, old wires, and one glowing crystal from the metal object marked Ashen. He stared at the sky. Let's see who's still out there. He pressed a button. A pulse shot upward, invisible to human eyes, but bright as lightning to those watching from space. Cut to deep space listening post. Somewhere in a far part of the galaxy, a satellite blinked, a signal it wasn't programmed to detect came in. An old man sat at a dusty control panel. He looked confused. Origin, Earth, the screen said, but the code wasn't Earth's. It was Ashen's. His eyes went wide. He reached for the communicator. We have a ghost transmission. Ashen is awake. Inside Zarnak's command ship, alarm. Commander Varel's ship floated above Earth's moon. Suddenly, sirens rang. Unauthorized signal leaving Earth. A technician shouted. Moving faster than light. Varel turned. Sharply, shut it down. The screen flashed. Interference detected. Source, hybrid mind. Level, unknown. Varel's face went pale. It's him again, Ethan. Inside Ethan's mind, the boy returns. Inside the maze, Ethan stood by a large mirror. The reflection showed not one, but two figures, himself and the Ashen child. They were now linked. The boy spoke. They're coming faster now. The signal scared them. Ethan nodded. Good, let them be afraid. The message in the signal. Across the galaxy, old rebel networks began to light up. Former Ashen survivors. Hidden human colonies. Secret AI monitors. They all received the same short message. This is Earth. They came for our minds. But they left with fear. We are not broken. We remember. We resist. It was signed with a symbol. The mind strike, Ethan's mark. Meanwhile, Zarnak's boardroom. The High Council of Zarnax met in a dark chamber. Only their glowing eyes could be seen in the shadow. He's waking the others, said one. He must be erased before full merge, said another. Varel entered the chamber. He's beyond our reach now, he admitted. The human mind was just the beginning. Now he's using our own memory tech against us. Silence. Then the High Leader spoke. Release the mind cutter. Scene, back on Earth. Ethan feels a strike. Ethan suddenly dropped to the floor. His head throbbed with sharp pain. A high-pitched sound filled his ears. Blood dripped from his nose. The Ashen boy appeared beside him, whispering, They've sent the mind cutter. What is it? A virus for thought. Inside Ethan's mind. Attack begins. The maze shook violently. Doors exploded open. Walls cracked. Dark smoke rolled in, forming shapes, whispering, screaming, pushing. The virus moved fast, deleting memories, breaking emotions, turning joy into fear. Ethan ran through the maze, trying to protect his core. The Ashen boy yelled, Hide the key memory, the one that started it all. Ethan reached a door marked Mother. He opened it and pulled out a small image. A warm kitchen. A woman smiling. Light everywhere. He held the image close. And suddenly, everything froze. Counterattack begins. The virus had touched something it couldn't understand. Human love. It wasn't code. It wasn't logic. It was feeling. The virus screamed and cracked. Suddenly, Ethan's mind pushed back. Walls reformed. Light burst from every corner. The maze turned into a fortress. Then, Ethan spoke. My turn. Ethan hacks back, using the signal as a weapon. Ethan focused on the pulse he sent earlier. He sent another one, this time backward, through the channel the virus had entered. A new kind of virus rode inside it. Made from emotions. From memory. From pain. From everything the Zarnax had tried to erase. On the Zarnax ship, panic. One technician screamed. His body twitched violently, then dropped. Others followed. The virus had gone backwards and infected Zarnax minds. They started seeing images they didn't understand. A mother singing. A baby's laugh. A sunset. The first time someone said, "I love you." These emotions, beautiful to humans, were poison to the Zarnax. Commander Virel watched as his team collapsed. Only he remained. Ethan's mind fortress. The merge completes. Back in Ethan's mind. The boy smiled. "You did it," he said. Ethan looked stronger now. Eyes calm, back straight. "I didn't just stop them," he said. "I taught them something they can't unlearn." The boy nodded. "Our minds are now one." Ethan replied, "No, we are more than one." He looked around at the walls of the maze, now glowing with names. Names of every Zarnax victim. Ashen. Earth. All. Back in reality, Ethan builds a team. Few days passed. Ethan traveled. City to city. Quietly, carefully, he met others. People who had felt strange dreams. People who heard the signal. People with maze marks. Signs of mental resistance. He didn't tell them everything, just enough. "We were targets," he said. "Now we are defenders." Zarnax Council. Final decision. The council was broken. Half their mental grid was gone. The Earth experiment had failed. Virel stood before the few leaders still alive. "Shall we retreat?" The High Leader answered, "No. We send the last weapon, not thought, not fear, a physical hunter." A dark figure stepped forward. Tall, silent, wearing an old human skull as a helmet. Its mission: find Ethan, bring back his mind, leave the body. Closing scene. Ethan feels a presence. Ethan stood on a cliff, watching the stars. The Ashen Boy whispered, "Something's coming." Ethan nodded. "I felt it too." He looked at the sky, then at the notebook in his hand. He wrote one word: prepare. Then closed it. Fade to black. Ethan's voice: "They came for our minds. We gave them more than they could handle. Now they send monsters. Let them come." Opening scene. Earth, nighttime, fog. It was a cold night. Thick fog covered the forest outside a small town. Trees stood like shadows, no wind, no sound, but something moved through the mist. Silent, tall, mechanical. Its eyes glowed red. It wasn't human. It wasn't Zarnax. It was something worse. The hunter, built to destroy the mind without touching the body. Programmed to find Ethan. It raised its arm. A signal blinked. Target located. Cut to Ethan's hideout. Ethan sat with 4 people in an old subway station. His group was growing. Zara, a former hacker. Malik, an ex-soldier. Joe, a doctor who heard voices after the Zarnax probe. And Eli, a mute child who drew symbols from the maze in chalk. Ethan looked at their faces. "We're not safe anymore." "Something's coming. Something different," Zara asked. "Zarnax?" Ethan shook his head. "No, worse. A creation of theirs. But made from us." Scene. The hunter strikes nearby, outside town. The hunter found its first victim, a man who had received Ethan's signal. The man didn't scream. The hunter pressed 2 fingers to the man's head. A light blinked. The brain data uploaded. Body dropped. The hunter whispered, "Progress, 12%. Ethan's mind, a warning from the maze. Ethan stood inside the maze, looking at the wall of names. The Ashen Boy was silent. Suddenly, the wall cracked. A shadow entered the maze. Not a virus. Not a memory, but a hunter's minprint, silent and cold. The Ashen Boy said, "It doesn't want to control. It wants to erase." Ethan backed away. "How do we stop it?" The boy whispered, "We don't. We run." On the run, Ethan and his team escape. Ethan grabbed the others. No time to explain. "We have to move." They left the hideout just minutes before the hunter arrived. It walked slowly. It didn't need to rush. It only followed thoughts. Zara's hand trembled. "What is that thing?" Ethan said. "It's the endgame. It doesn't think. It tracks." Malik checked his gun. "Then we fight." Ethan looked at him. "No, we survive. That's how we win." Flashback, the creation of the hunter, inside a Zarnax lab years ago. The High Council feared memory, emotion, human chaos. So they built something with no memory, no emotion. Only one purpose. It would scan minds and extract data like files. The hunter had only one rule: if it cannot read the mind, it must destroy. The brain. Scene. Ethan tries to outthink it. In a warehouse. Ethan set up blockers, magnets, radios, heat pads, anything to confuse scanners. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small cube, a piece of ashen tech. The ashen boy inside him whispered, "We must divide the mind. Create echoes." Ethan linked the cube to his thoughts. Suddenly, 10 false versions of his mental signal scattered across the city. The hunter paused. It tilted its head. Too many signals, too many minds. It began hunting them all. Tension rises. The team starts falling apart. Joe collapsed on the floor, shaking. I saw it. It looked at me. Not my body, my soul. Zara snapped. How do we fight something that doesn't bleed? Malik said nothing. He just cleaned his blade. Ethan sat in silence. He felt fear, not for himself, but for Eli, the mute child. Eli drew a new symbol. It looked like a door with a crack down the middle. Ethan touched it. Suddenly, his eyes widened. That's not a door. That's a gate. The maze unlocks a secret room. Inside his mind, a part of the maze opened, one he never saw before. The ashen boy whispered, "The vault." Ethan stepped inside. Floating in the middle was a box made of glowing ash. Inside it, a memory from Ashen, a weapon, but not made of fire or metal. It was a sound, a pulse, a frequency that could destroy anything without a mind. The exact weakness of the hunter. Final confrontation. Trap the hunter. Ethan gathered the group. We stop running. We bring it here. Zara, are you insane? Ethan smiled slightly. Yes, but I'm not stupid. They set the trap in an old power plant. Wires, speakers, generators. The ashen cube connected to the system. Then they waited. Scene. The hunter arrives. The hunter stepped into the plant. It didn't speak. It scanned. Malik attacked from behind. Useless. The hunter knocked him out with a wave of energy. Zara ran for the switch. Too late. The hunter grabbed her by the head. It began to read. Suddenly a fuzz. Pulse hit. Not sound, not light, but meaning. The maze frequency shot through the wires. The hunter screamed. Its systems sparked. Red eyes flickered. Eli walked forward and placed his hand on the cube. The symbol he drew began to glow. The fall of the hunter. The pulse grew stronger. The hunter fell to its knees. It saw something it could never process. A child's fear mixed with hope. It didn't understand, and because it didn't understand, it shut down. The body dropped. Silent. Still. Eli looked at Ethan and gave a small nod. Aftermath, but not the end. Zara survived. Malik was injured, but alive. The team had won. For now. Ethan stared at the hunter's remains. This was just one. He said, "There will be more." Joe asked, "Then what do we do?" Ethan looked up at the night sky. "We build something they've never seen. Something they can't track. A human resistance. But made of minds." Closing voiceover. Ethan. "They came with fear. We answered with memory. They sent machines. We sent meaning. They tried to erase us. But we are not code. We are chaos. We are human." Fade to black. Opening scene. 1 week later. Underground facility. Ethan stood in front of a large screen. Deep underground. All around him were blinking lights, wires, and floating ashen tech. His team was larger now. 17 people. People like him. Touched by the signal. Changed. Together. They were building something new. Not a weapon, not a city, but a firewall made of minds. Flashback. Ethan's plan. After destroying the hunter, Ethan realized something. We can't just defend one mind. We need to protect all of them. The ashen boy inside him had given him access to an old blueprint, a mental shield, once used by ashen elders to protect entire star systems from mind probes. Ethan was building a human version, not digital, not physical, mental, emotional, alive. He called it the firewall. Scene: recruiting the network. Ethan traveled to small towns, cities, even ruins. He met a deaf girl who dreamed in color-coded symbols, an old man who had never touched a computer, but could read minds during storms, a prisoner who claimed he'd been visited during a coma. Each one added a piece to the firewall, not with machines, but with their thoughts, linked to Ethan's mind using the ashen cube. Each person added diversity to the network, which made it unpredictable, which made it strong. Scene: the Zarnax counterattack begins. Far in space, the Zarnax watched. Their network was silent. The hunter had failed. They couldn't scan Earth anymore. Something or someone was blocking them. So they initiated protocol blackout. It began with small things. Dreams stopped working. People forgot. Simple memories. Laughter felt empty. Emotions dulled. The Zarnax were trying to unplug Earth's mental energy. They wanted to make the firewall collapse from the inside. Inside the mind network. First glitch. Ethan stood inside the maze. Now redesigned. It was no longer just his maze. It was a city of connected minds. Towers built from love. Bridges made of memory. But now cracks were appearing. One tower collapsed. Then another. Screams echoed. Something was corrupting the firewall. Scene: the traitor. Back in the underground base. Malik walked in, sweating, shaking. "I saw something in my dream," he said. Room, red walls, a voice telling me to let go. Zara scanned him. "You've been backlinked." Ethan stepped forward. "It means the Zarnax used your thoughts to send something back into us." "A sleeper code." Malik backed away. "I didn't mean to, Gan. It's not your fault," Ethan said calmly. "But you can't stay in the core." Malik nodded and stepped out, eyes full of regret. "The firewall fights back," the ashen boy whispered to Ethan. "Emotion is your power, but shared emotion is your shield." Ethan gathered everyone into the central room. He gave a speech, not long, not fancy, just real. He spoke of fear, of the first time he saw the maze, of losing control, of his mother's memory. People listened. People cried, and suddenly, the firewall glowed again, rebuilt not from tech, but from shared feeling. The cracks healed. Zarnax tries again, the burn signal, in space. The Zarnax activated their final mental weapon. The burn signal. It would send a wave through space that made all memory feel like pain. They had used it before, to end civilizations. Now Earth would feel it. It launched. Time, 7 minutes to impact. Inside the maze, preparing for impact, Ethan stood inside the firewall core. He was joined by Zara, Eli, Joe, and others, mentally linked. He saw the wave approaching. "Red storm." The ashen boy said. "There's only one way to stop it. Not with strength, but with one pure memory, strong enough to hold everything together." Ethan thought hard. The first day of school? No. The night his mother sang to him in the rain. Yes, he held that memory like a torch. The firewall becomes a beacon. As the burn signal reached Earth, it hit the firewall. But the firewall didn't break. It didn't block. It absorbed. Ethan's memory of that song, the love, the light, the warmth, became a beacon. The pain signal twisted, became music, became memory. And then it echoed back, across the galaxy. Rebellion sparks, planets once under Zarnax. Control began waking up. Ashen survivors blinked in surprise. Old Rebel A is reactivated. One phrase kept appearing: "The firewall holds." Ethan's team had not just saved Earth, they'd started a new resistance. Aftermath: Malik's redemption. Malik returned to the core. He knelt. "I nearly broke us." Ethan smiled. You're human. That's what makes us dangerous. Malik laughed through tears. Then let's be dangerous. Closing scene, a warning. The Ashen Boy appeared again. Face darker now. Voice slower. They know the firewall works. They will come themselves next time. Ethan nodded. I'm ready. The boy added. But are they? Fade to black. Opening scene. Silence before the storm. The earth was calm. Too calm. The wind didn't move. The sky was a strange shade of silver. Ethan stood on a rooftop, looking at the horizon. Joe came up beside him. Something's wrong. Ethan whispered. They're here. Arrival. The Zarnax elders land. From the clouds, 3 black spires dropped silently. No ships. No engines. Just darkness wrapped in metal. Zarnax had finally come in person. These were not machines. These were minds without bodies. The elders. Billions of years old. No emotions. No mercy. They had one mission. Locate the last untouched mind. Destroy it. Scene. Who is the last mind? Ethan rushed back into the firewall base. Zara, Joe, Malik, and Eli stood waiting. We've protected thousands of minds, Zara said. But one is still pure. Eli pointed to himself. Ethan shook his head. No, not you anymore. Then Joe gasped. She turned slowly toward the back of the room. There, sitting quietly, was a newborn baby, wrapped in cloth. No name, no memories, no scars. A child born after the firewall. Perfect. Unreache. The last mind. Decision, protect or sacrifice. Zara, if they get to the baby, they'll overwrite it, control it, start again. Malik, then we destroy the spires. Ethan, that won't work. They exist in the maze too. We have to fight them there. Joe looked pale. Fight. Inside our minds? Ethan nodded. They came to erase us, so we go where they live. We take the battle. Into the maze. Entering the maze, the final time. Each team member placed their hand on the ashen cube. One by one, they linked. Suddenly, they were no longer in the bunker. They were inside the maze. But this time, it wasn't Ethan's maze. It was dark, metallic, cold. Built by the Zarnax. They had rewritten the maze as a trap. Mental battlefield. The fight begins. The team stood together. Ethan with a shield made of old memories. Zara firing emotion. Spikes. Malik wielding a sword made from guilt. Joe healing wounds with laughter. Suddenly, 3 tall shadows approached. The Zarnax elders. They didn't speak. They simply attacked, and the maze shattered. Each person faces their fear. The Zarnax split the team apart mentally. Zara relived her father's death. Malik was trapped in a fake war. Joe saw her past patients screaming at her. Ethan stood before an empty world. No people. No sound. Just guilt. But the firewall still connected them. Each person remembered Ethan's words. Your pain is not a weakness. It's proof you're human. They began pushing back. Their emotions were weapons now. Scene. The baby's mind is touched, back in the real world. The baby's eyes opened. A tear rolled down its cheek. It was feeling something for the first time. The Zarnax tried to enter, but suddenly, a light burst from the child's mind. A wave of pure emotion, not thought, not memory. Just existence. Even Ethan inside the maze felt it. Did the baby just protect us? Joe asked. Ethan smiled. It's the only being here without fear. The twist. The elders hesitate. The Zarnax elders moved closer to the child, but something unexpected happened. They stopped. One of them flickered. A small glitch. It spoke in a low voice. What is this feeling? Another whispered. We remember something. Before we were Zarnax. For the first time in history, they felt. The baby's mind had given them a memory, not real, but pure. Ethan's final play. Offer a choice. Inside the maze. Ethan walked toward the 3 elders. He lowered his shield. I'm not here to kill you, he said. You erased your feelings to survive. I get it, but we're not here to survive. We're here to live. He held out a small glowing cube. Inside, it was a copy of the baby's mental spark. Take it, Ethan said. Remember who you were, or destroy us. Your choice. Ending the decision. The Zarnax elders looked at each other. The sky inside the maze turned gold. A soft breeze returned. They took the cube. For a second, everything froze. Then the spires lifted. Back on Earth. The black towers rose slowly and vanished into the sky. No explosion. No attack. Just silence. Then peace. Aftermath. 1 year later, the world was healing. People remembered again. Music returned. Color felt brighter. The firewall still stood. But now it needed no watchers. It was part of Earth now. Ethan sat in a garden, holding the baby, now named Hope. Joe joined him. Do you think they're still watching us? Ethan smiled. Probably, but next time. Maybe not as enemies. Final voiceover. Ethan, we didn't win with guns or codes. We won because we refused to forget. They sent a probe. We gave them pain. They sent a hunter. We gave them meaning. They sent their best minds, and we gave them a reason to remember. This isn't the end, it's the beginning. The maze has more doors, and we're ready. Fade to black. End credits roll with soft music.